If your Rampager or Lancer keeps dying on turn 2, it's probably not because it's fragile. It's because you're committing it too early. In this video, I'm going to show you how to threaten the board with melee knights without handing your opponent an easy 400-point trade. Because here's the truth. Your melee knight is not a missile, it's a loaded gun. You don't fire it on turn 1 just because you can. You fire it when it wins the game. So, what does that mean in real games? A Rampager can threaten most of the midboard without even committing. Depending on your detachment, your max threat range is roughly up to 30 inches if you can advance and charge, around 27 inches in Infernal Lance with the +3 move, or around 24 inches if you don't have a movement boost. But here's what matters more. Your realistic threat range, the one you should actually play around, is usually about 19 to 22 inches. And if it's a Lancer, just add 2 inches to all of that. That's why in turns 1 and 2, your job isn't so much to launch it forward. Your job is to stage it safely near the middle of the board so your opponent has to respect that threat. Before I commit my melee knight, I want to make sure it connects with a high value target. That means I need to identify priority targets before the game even starts. And this is the part most players mess up. Patience is the key. While you're staging and waiting, your other knights should be doing the work, clearing screens, removing threats, and lowering your opponent's ability to hit back. Because the more you shoot off the board early, the more you force your opponent to move their real damage pieces forward. And that's when your melee knight gets to punish them. So here's my quick checklist before I send the melee knight in. Can I hit a top priority target? Can I limit the counterpunch, or have I already done that? If my melee knight goes in, do I have follow-up support next turn to dismantle the counterattack? If the answer is no to those, don't send it. Target priority is huge for Chaos Knights. Before the game starts, you need to know what your opponent's units can actually do to a knight. I break it down into 4 categories. Number 1, can kill a knight alone. For example, Sanguinary Guard with a captain. Number 2, can deal significant damage to a knight. For example, a Vindicator. Number 3, can damage a knight. For example, a Demon Prince. Or number 4, cannot meaningfully damage a knight. For example, Croup Carnivores. The top 2 categories are the priority. If you can't screen them, you need to kill them. And if you can remove most of the units in those top 2 categories, you can honestly walk knights around the board with way less fear. When it's time to commit your melee knight, you want to pounce on targets in those categories. And a lot of the time, that means softening them up with shooting first. Here's the rule that will save your melee knight's life. If you can't touch a high value target and live through the counterpunch, don't go. Alright, let's hit the common mistakes I see with melee knights and the quick fixes. Mistake number 1, charging up the board on turn 1. The fix for this one is stage and wait. Threaten the midboard, make them come to you. Mistake number 2, connecting with low value targets. Fix for this one, kill those targets with shooting and save your melee knight for something that actually matters. Mistake number 3, committing before screens are cleared. The fix for this, if you're going for a high value target, make sure you can remove the screens first with shooting, war dogs, or your other knights. Mistake number 4, overexposing after the charge. The fix for this one is charge with the goal of ending in a protected position. Hide behind terrain if you can, and use consolidate moves to pull back when possible. And remember, if you can wait until round 3 to start pushing your opponent off the board, you'll usually have more support from your army rule and your pressure hits way harder. And here I have some tips to make your melee knights more durable. I'm not going to list every trick in the book, These are just the 2 to 3 tools that stand out to me the most. For dread abilities, I usually like Darkness for the -1 to hit outside of 18 inches or if the enemy unit is battle shocked. In Traitoris Lance, I like Veil of Medjugorje for the 4-up invuln in shooting and 5-up in melee. The Disdain for the Weak stratagem to get a 6-up Feel No Pain or 5-up if the opposing unit is battle shocked. And Storm of Darkness stratagem for stealth and cover. In Infernal Lance, there's Flesh Metal Fusion for an additional toughness, Hellforged Construction stratagem to reduce enemy AP by 1 in the fight phase, and Diabolic Bulwark for a 4-up invuln in your opponent's shooting phase. In Lords of Dread, there's Blade of Celerity for a once per game fights first, Mirror of Fates makes your enemy spend more CP when they're trying to kill the knight, and Runes of Disdain as a stratagem to reduce incoming damage by 1. In Iconoclast Fiefdom, there's Diabolical Resilience for a 6-up Feel No Pain, and the Soul Hunger stratagem to heal after killing models in melee. So, if your melee knight keeps dying early, remember this. Your melee knight is not a missile, it's a loaded gun. Stage it, threaten the board, use your shooting to remove the threats, clear the screens, and commit when it connects into something high value and you can survive the counterpunch. If you can do that, your Rampager and your Lancer stop being a turn 2 donation and start being the piece that wins you the game. If you found this helpful, drop a comment and tell me, what's the #1 unit in your local meta that keeps killing your knights? And if you want more Chaos Knights tech, list building, matchups, and how to actually pilot the army, hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.